Welcome to Beating Cancer Daily. Beating stage 4 cancer for 30 years still takes my breath away every time I say it. I'm Saranne, founder of the Comedy Cures Foundation, and I hope you'll join me for just a few minutes daily for the next 365 days so we may laugh, learn, maybe cry a little as we live our best days beating cancer daily together.
Are you an IV dripper? Like, do you go in and actually get an IV that's not chemotherapy, but it's some supplement? Well, I I don't do it, but I know a lot of people are doing it, and they're asking if I know anything about it. Is it safe? Should they be doing it? And so I know when we're going through a health crisis, particularly cancer, that you want to try to do anything and everything that's going to put you ahead of this cancer game, right? So we don't sell IVs, we don't sell supplements. This is really just a conversation that I feel we should talk to Jacqui Bryan about. And if you haven't heard Jacqui on the many hundreds of episodes of Beating Cancer Daily, she's the perfect person because she's our functional medicine expert, our certified nutrition specialist, whole health educator, certified health coach, RN. She's just someone I love to go to ask these questions. So welcome, Jacqui Bryan.
Thank you, Sarah.
I have to tell you, every time I hear NAC in my head, I actually hear it as knack. And so I start singing that children's song, Knick Knack, Paddywhack, Give the Dog a Bone. And it's driving me a bit crazy. But it's funny and it helps me remember it. So now it's all going to get stuck in your guys' head.
I'd like to spend 5 minutes in your brain just to see what's actually going on up there, because you come out with things and then I'm paralyzed. Like you expect me to say something and I'm like, okay, all I've got is the knick knack paddywhack, give the dog a bone. This old man came rolling.
Well, there's hundreds and hundreds of episodes of Beating Cancer Daily. So I have to amuse myself, right? I think funny thoughts and I remembered the topic by that. And then I went, oops, it's not NAC, it's NAC. So we're not cutting this out because Jacqui wanted to see what was in my brain. You got a quick snapshot, I think, of everything in terms of comedy.
Well, I've been getting tons of questions about the IV drips. I'm not an IV dripper, so, we can label that a new title, IV dripper. I am not. However, I'm someone, I was first exposed to the idea of these IV drips because I love to give my husband experiences for like the holidays or for his birthday. So he's a cold plunger, right? So we've got the IV drippers and the cold plungers. And so we live close to the water. And so he will go, even in the winter, and dunk in the cold water because there's some immune health benefits. And we can save that for another podcast. But for Christmas, I actually bought him a cryo freeze session at one of those IV drip places. And so if you can visualize the two of us they put mittens on your hands and your feet, and then you're in like this like robe, very attractive look. My husband's bald. So they put like a little hat on you and you go in and they freeze you for 2 to 3 minutes. I had to dance around. I had them put on the song Don't Stop Believing by Journey because I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it.
You just dated yourself, Jacqui.
No.
That is an old folk song.
But on my way out of my freeze session, I saw all these individuals sitting in chairs and they were getting the IV drips, and I grabbed an IV menu, right? So they had a menu, and one of the items on the IV menu was NAC, which is the N-acetylcysteine, which is what we're talking about today. So I know this is a really long introduction.
Now you see why I called it NAC and then didn't use the medical name and then associate it with Knick Knack Paddywhack, Give the Dog a Bone.
Stop it.
Jacqui, say the title again.
It's N-acetylcysteine, and it's a supplement form of the amino acid cysteine. And you actually get cysteine by eating high protein foods like beef and chicken and even some whole grains and eggs. Your body actually makes some cysteine by combining two different amino acids. And You and I did the Dropping Amino Acid podcast episode.
Best title ever.
We did an episode where we talked about amino acids. And so you actually make cysteine by combining two amino acids, serine and methionine. And so that's not what we're talking about today. But I think the purpose of me sharing that is I want you to know that you can get a benefit of the result that you would get from taking the N-acetylcysteine by eating the right high protein foods. But if you're someone that's actually low in those two amino acids that I just mentioned, then possibly a supplement might be recommended. And NAC or NAC or N-acetylcysteine that we're talking about today could be beneficial. And what I thought was really interesting, Saranne, is that this NAC is actually a prescription medication and a supplement. And that's unusual, right? So oftentimes we think of these things and we think, oh, it's just a supplement. Those IV drippers are just getting a supplement. NAC is actually used for liver support in hospitals to treat acetaminophen, things like Tylenol overdoses. It helps protect the liver and remove harmful substances. So it's got a real detoxification component to it. So that's the prescription side. Another prescription side is that it's really good for loosening respiratory secretions. So almost like an expectorant would be, they describe it as a mucus thinner. And I know you love that word, mucus, Sarah.
There's certain things that just gross me out. And for some reason, we bring it up every so often. There was that whole podcast where you said the word mucus so many times. I was just like, Jacqui, you got to stop. You got to stop using the word.
Mucus. But it thins mucus. It can make it easier for you to breathe. So people that have conditions like COPD or asthma or even cystic fibrosis can benefit from NAC. So while we're not here talking about, oh, hey, you all have to go out and supplement with NAC, we're just sharing the information because, as I said to Saranne prior to starting the podcast, I'm like, people keep asking me about this and I feel really strongly about discussing it. I think it's important for people to understand who should maybe consider it and maybe those individuals that really don't need it. Most people do not need this supplement because if they're eating a healthy protein-rich diet, they can be making enough cysteine, which is really beneficial. And you're probably wondering, like, why do I need to make more cysteine? What is the benefit of that? Well, the supplement NAC is that amino acid cysteine. It's the supplement form of amino acid cysteine. Cysteine is found in those protein-rich foods we talked about. NAC helps the body make glutathione. So ultimately, eating foods that are cysteine rich or taking NAC is going to get us the end result of making more glutathione, which we call a master antioxidant. It is such a strong antioxidant that protects your cells from damage. And that is what the end result is. That's exactly what we want. So if you go on one of those sites that does the IV drippers, you might see the IV drip NAC positioned as improving resilience, reducing cell damage, helping you manage the stressors and the free radicals that are associated with oxidative stress in the body, which is the byproduct of like everyday life. And so that's what they're positioning this IV drip for. But again, you can get those same benefits from foods as well. The difference between eating high protein foods where you're going to have more cysteine, which will help with the glutathione production, and taking NAC would be the intensity, right? So the supplement is actually going to provide you with more of a intense production of the glutathione.
It's interesting because I'm thinking back to a lot of the episodes that we've done on free radicals and amino acids. And so I want to think about a few ways that people can get it through protein if they're not meat eaters, because I know a lot of people decide to become vegetarians, especially when they're in a health challenge like cancer. I am not. I do eat very clean meat like once or twice a month. But how would you get it, Jacqui, through other sources?
Oh, such a good question, Saranne. So, cysteine rich foods are found in animal proteins, like we were just talking about poultry, fish, beef, even some cheese and yogurt. Plant based versions of cysteine can be found in whole grains, sunflower seeds, garlic, legumes, oatmeal, probably at a lesser level, right? But they're still present there. So I think that's really key for us to think about. We talked about this NAC being something that can help the body as a prescription. We talked about it with the acetaminophen overdose and helping the liver, protect the liver, and also through thinning mucus. There's that word again. But the supplement form is also beneficial in terms of brain health and mood support. It can help mental health by helping the brain handle stress and inflammation. It's been studied for depression, anxiety, and addiction, and partly because it restores the glutamate in the body, which can help fuel the brain's functions, which I think is really interesting.
I can't believe we did an episode where you did not mention pumpkin seeds.
I know.
You shot in there sunflower seeds, and I was like, oh, I eat them.
We haven't finished that though. You never know. They're going to sneak in there somewhere, but you just said it. So now what? Now I don't even have to say it. So a lot of people, when they're going in for their IV drips, they're really looking for antioxidant protection. You know, the NAC helps boosts level of the glutathione. That's what we're talking about, which helps protect the cells from damage. And that damage can be caused by pollution and stress and even illness, right? So if someone has had a disease like cancer or heart disease, and again, we are not recommending you become an IV dripper. If you decide you want to be an IV dripper and you are in active treatment or post-treatment, these are things that you need to get approved through your provider. And partly because when you're eating it at food, it is coming in as less intense. Now, NAC is the supplement form of cysteine. It is not something that you can't get specifically NAC in your food, but you can get food that has cysteine in it that will have the combination of those two amino acids, which will help with the glutathione production. So today, when we talk about NAC, we are talking about a supplement, right? We're not talking about, but I'm here to say there are foods that can help you have a similar effect at a less intensity in your body, which I think for most people, that's going to be enough. Another part about NAC that can be beneficial is for blood sugar and heart health. And research actually suggests that NAC can help protect blood vessels from oxidative damage that's associated with high blood sugar, thinking about helping improving insulin resistance. And we've talked in so many different situations about every day our body is taking an assault, right? We're with sugar and stress and lack of sleep and all of these things. And this may be, if you're somebody that is compromised, NAC might be something that could be beneficial to help support your blood sugar and your heart health. And then lastly, there's been some research about NAC's benefits for improving fertility. So those are just some of the highlights of the health benefits of NAC. And again, that's the supplement version of cysteine. But I think probably the biggest question I get is, okay, Jacqui, like you talked about the foods that will help me with my glutathione production. But if I want a supplement, how do I get it in my body? Like we talked about the IV drippers, right? Which is something people do, but more commonly, people actually take capsules of NAC. And there's several companies, reputable companies out there. If you're interested in understanding how to pick a supplement, we have a really good podcast on ways that you can choose the right supplement for you. But most supplements offer 600 to 1200 milligrams per capsule. Typical use is 600 to 1800 milligrams in divided doses throughout the day. It's usually best taken on an empty stomach for better absorption, but some people do get an upset stomach, so they might need to take it with food. But again, you can get it in capsules, powders, effervescent tablets. Some people will do the IV drips as well, but more commonly it is in that capsule form.
I can't think of anything I would want to do less, especially when I was on stage 4 cancer treatment, than going in to get another IV. Like my veins were shot. I didn't do a port, which was probably a mistake because I had 2.5 years of straight chemo treatment. But man, the last thing I would want to do when I was sitting in a chemo chair all those years was to go sit in another chair and get an IV. And I'm not judging anybody, but I'm telling you, if I could just walk to my cabinet, take a handful of sunflower seeds, that seems like a way more pleasant, less expensive way
Yeah.
to get NAC. I'm just saying that's how I'm thinking about it. And as I said, there's no offer at the end of this to go buy a supplement. And if you really want to know how to pick good supplements, Jacqui did reference that great supplement podcast episode that we did. So you should check that out. I just want to say thank you so much, Jacqui. At 1 o'clock in the morning, I was standing at a party in New York City last night, and we were talking about the 100+ episodes that you've done and which ones people should listen to who don't have cancer, like which ones would they really love? And I just said, every episode, it's like a master class with you. And I just want to always be grateful that you come back to Beating Cancer Daily and you give us so much wisdom. And if this is your first episode, I usually do a lot more humor, but this isn't a funny thing. Like, I couldn't find any.
It's not. I want to just touch on one other thing before we go today, because I think it's really important about the safety part of it. And NAC is generally safe for most healthy adults, but you do need to be checked by a provider, right? Because some people get upset stomachs and diarrhea, headaches, fatigue, unpleasant odor, right? Or sulfur smell. And again, if you're in active treatment, if you're even have on any type of medications, you really want to be careful with this type of supplementation, particularly people with asthma, because it can worsen their symptoms, right? Because we're loosening those secretions. People that have bleeding disorders, it can affect how their blood clots. Pregnant or breastfeeding women, there really isn't enough information about using this when you're pregnant. And even on certain medications, because NAC can interact with nitroglycerin, which is used for blood pressure management or even other blood pressure medications. So I think it's really important, like any of the things we talk about on our podcasts, I think it's just so important to share this information with your provider. I love this play date, Saranne, with you every week because it's such an honor to be with someone that has shared this type of journey. And I'm 22 years and you're 32 years misdiagnosed and all of the different challenges that you've had. But like you, I didn't do a port either. So my veins are shot. They're very scarred. So the idea of going in and getting an IV drip is like, yeah, I'm not doing that. But I'm not saying it's not for everybody, but I think there's a lot of emotional trauma that happened through all the chemotherapy treatments that I had. That's not my first choice. My first choice really is having this high quality diet that will help you get similar benefits. It's not exactly the same, but NAC does have benefits for a certain population of people. And I think that's really important for us to remind individuals of. And even though you said you didn't have a lot of comedy for today, I thought today was funny.
Well, I was thinking in my head, I'm going to remember it as the National Association of Comedy amino acid. Because it's hard to keep all these amino acids in my head. So since you didn't like Knick Knack Paddywhack, I'm going to go with the National Association of Comedy. I don't even know if that exists. I'm just saying it's funny. In my brain, it's
I did
funny.
not like Knick Knack Paddywhack. The problem is you say these things and then they get stuck in my head. And then I'm trying to sound professional. And in my head, I've got the Knick Knack Paddywhack. So it's hard. It's hard to be able to stay the chorus sometimes. But I absolutely love these moments with you. And you were saying you're grateful for me. You have no idea how grateful I am for this connection with you and with this community that we serve. It's such an honor to be with you all regardless of what stage or phase of cancer you might be dealing with, or even if you're supporting someone that is dealing with a cancer diagnosis, or if you just showed up because you're interested in the topic, right? It's an honor to be able to share information, get the conversation started, and maybe introduce you to a new concept you hadn't thought of before.
Jacqui, how does someone know if they need this in their diet? Is there a blood test? Do you show signs of needing it?
I think more often we're looking at symptoms, right? So clearly, if it's a prescription medication, that's going to come from your provider, right? And that would be for hopefully nobody does overdose with Tylenol, but that is something that they have used it for to help protect the liver, but also people that have respiratory conditions like COPD. So that would be a conversation with your provider. People that are struggling with mood support and brain fog and even in feeling in need of antioxidant production or blood sugar balance, that I would take to your provider, right? And just ask the questions, right? Say, hey, I listened to this podcast and it was about NAC, and maybe you do eat a healthy diet. And your provider, if you have a healthy diet and you're not really experiencing any symptoms, there's a good chance you do not need a supplement of NAC. But this exists for a reason, right? Because there are people that will benefit from it. And again, this is a conversation you have with your provider for sure.
That's great to know. If you want to learn more about Beating Cancer Daily and the Comedy Cures Foundation, go to comedycures.org. If you want to find the amazing Jacqui Bryan and see all the yummy things she talks about on her fabulous website, you can go to jacquibryan.com. If you can't find her because Jacqui spelled funny, then come back to Comedy Cures and I will send you her signature. We love meeting with you every day. It's been an honor to do hundreds of episodes for you, with you. And the fact that we are in over 140 countries now, helping people have better health is just a dream come true. So tell your friends, tell your support group, tell your medical team that we show up every day just to give you the best science-backed information and help you have the best quality of day. Thank you, Jacqui.
Thank you, Saranne.
Have a blessed day, and I'll see you tomorrow.
If you loved today's episode, then tell the world. Why? Because Beating Cancer Daily is a listener and donor supported experience. So the more people you tell and the more people that join us, the more robust and interesting programs our nonprofit, the Comedy Cures Foundation, can bring to you throughout the year. So if you have some extra change, I'd love you to go to comedycures.org and make a donation today of whatever level is comfortable for you. And it will be tax deductible to the extent allowed by law, because Comedy Cures is a nonprofit 501c3 organization founded from my chemo chair, April 1999, and we've been going strong ever since. So please consider making a donation today and help our community and this podcast thrive. Guess what time it is? It's time for me to read the disclaimer. Beating Cancer Daily and the membership circle are not in lieu of medical advice or treatment. They are for entertainment purposes only. Please consult your healthcare team to review your best strategy. Thanks for listening. See you guys tomorrow.